Roll Real Estate Hour starring Gary Rosignol of Remax Preferred Group. To be part of the program, dial 513-563-1480 to get your answers to questions about your home and property. That number again, 513-563-1480. Now, here's Gary.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Wow, what a great week. In 2 weeks, it's going to be Thanksgiving.
I know.
Wow. We love bringing you current, helpful, and entertaining information about our city and your neighborhood. And this morning, I've got a gentleman who is no stranger to the show. He is the regional manager of Polaris Home Funding Corp. here in Cincinnati and northern Kentucky. Go in Indiana, too?
We are in Indiana.
Indiana, too? All right.
Tennessee, Florida.
There you go. All over the place. This is my friend, Mr. Bob Pape. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Gary. Always a pleasure to be on here, man. And it's a beautiful morning,
I
too.
know.
Nice.
Couldn't wait to get on the air with you.
I know.
Got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Good deal.
But first, let's give away some Starbucks gift cards. How's that?
It's a good time to give away Starbucks gift cards.
So if you haven't won in the past 6-8 weeks, you're eligible to win today. The phone number is 513-563-1480. Answer this question. It's a simple one. The ladies are going to win this one. I know they will. Back in 2008, a box office hit romantic comedy movie, Mamma Mia, had several hit songs like Super Trooper, Dancing Queen, and the title song, Mamma Mia. Who was the band? 513-563-1480. Who recorded the songs for the movie Mamma Mia? If you answer that question correctly, you'll get a $10 gift card to Starbucks. Yeah, everybody's humming that song right now, huh? We saw the Mason Players did Mamma Mia about 2 months ago. Mary Jo and I went to the show. And Susan Schimmer, who conducts the Westchester Symphony, was conducting the pit orchestra for that. It was a really good show.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it was great. These little community plays, you can't beat them.
No. I mean, for the entertainment value, for the cost, just to get out and see people.
And the quality, they're really into doing, it's great. It's great. Yeah. Really super stuff. So say hi to your wife and your little girl.
I will. I do every day.
Yeah.
Hello, Patty. Hello, Hera.
There you go. They listening?
They are. They'll be at home now. Hera will be up, and she'll probably be more interested in Bubble Guppies or whatever's on television, than what Dad has to say on the radio.
Sure.
But yeah, they're listening now.
How old is Hera now?
She is going to be 4 in January, the mid part of January. So she's going on 4 chronologically. She acts like she's 13.
Yeah.
With how much sass she's got. But, that's being a parent. I think every parent goes through that. You've gone through that more than once.
3 times.
And you showed me a picture of Mary Jo with 3 grandbabies at one time yesterday. I thought, wow, I think one is a full-time job.
Addie, Maddie, and Brinley.
Addie, Maddie, and Brinley. Yeah. I like it. Say that 10 times fast, too, in addition,
Right.
Fun stuff. But, one kid, one child is really almost like a full-time job when you're off. To have 3... that's special.
I've got to hand it to her, boy. She's a trooper. Got the 2 car seats in the back seat, and it's pretty something.
That's right.
So tell us a little bit about Polaris Home Funding Corp. That's not your run-of-the-mill corner storefront bank that people go and do checking and savings.
That's not. We're not Wells Fargo. We're not Bank of America. We're not the national bank. We're a regional lender. Which means that, basically, we specialize in housing, land, buildings. We don't offer IRAs, CDs, all the other kind of stuff, So we truly put all of our emphasis on mortgage lending, and that's been my background for my entire adult life, literally, since I was in my mid-20s. That was a long time ago, unfortunately, for me. But... it's a great place. If you have perfect credit, we can get you a loan. If you have less than perfect credit, we work with you to get you a loan. The fun stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we offer every type of loan there is under the sun: FHA, VA, reverse, construction loans. I mean, USDA.
You have a particular niche market that you like to stay with, or a favorite kind of client that you like to work with?
You know, my job, the greatest thing about my job in the purchase market, you as a realtor as well, is you get to help people live the American dream. Like, you know, when somebody buys a house, it changes that person. Now, it financially straps them a little bit more than maybe they were strapped before, but it grounds them to a community. It's good for the community because it's a tax base for the community to make your community better. So the more homeowners, generally, the better the community is. And, you know, I think there's satisfaction in every time somebody leaves the closing table with keys in their hand. I don't care if it's a person that's bought for the 10th time or that person you helped for the first time. It's a good feeling. And I love my job and the fact that when somebody leaves the closing table, they've got a good feeling. The sellers certainly have a good feeling. That's normally a good day when they're selling their house. You have agents that are congratulating each other. And you know, and to help be a part of that, that's special. And I enjoy it.
Yeah, we're working with a young lady right now, single mother.
Right, yeah.
You've been working with her for, 9 months about?
Over about a year and a half.
A year and a half, yeah.
Yeah.
To get her qualified to be able to go to the big day, which is going to be Tuesday.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. There's one or two little things out there, but we're finishing those up now. And truthfully, she did a phenomenal job. When we started off, she really wasn't in a position to buy. But to her credit...
Then she gets pregnant.
Yeah.
And she had off leave at work, which kind of delayed things.
Yeah, naturally, when she had a C-section, so she was off work for 8 weeks. Yeah, and that's, but to see the adversity that she's overcome and she's going to get the house, that'll be a proud day when she goes to the closing table.
Yeah.
I'll be really happy.
Well, she's just been, going from apartment to apartment, and it just
right.
the story goes on and on and on, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, she's moved 4 times in the last 2 years, and then with this house, and her young son. I mean, I think it's going to it'll ground her to community, and
the big question buyers always ask is, what are the rates like? What's the market going to be like? And 6 months ago, National Association of Realtors was hinting around in some of their postings that we're going to have a mortgage meltdown.
Recession, like a slowdown, I think is what they called it. I don't think anybody ever wants to use the word recession.
Right. No.
But
even though we went through one,
now you and I were both through it in 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012.
Phew, we made it through.
We did. We did. And if you remember right, too, like the National Association of Realtors, for example, they had at one point close to 2 million members. And then they got down in 2013 to 750,000.
Right.
I mean, which
here in Cincinnati, we're right around 5,000 licensed realtors. We were right around 2,000. We lost over half our membership, just about.
Wow.
It was incredible, yeah.
Which that's what it did. And what the National Association of Realtors was saying to us was that they thought that home prices would kind of go stagnant. They would, instead of going up like they are, they'd stay stagnant, maybe even start going down towards the second quarter of next year. And the thing is, that's been revised now. Everybody's thinking the houses are going to continue to appreciate. They think interest rates are going to continue to lower slowly. It's now the Fed is doing it the right way. They're really controlling how fast interest rates are going down. They're doing it quarter point at a time.
Right.
But, if you're a buyer right now, it's a phenomenal time to buy with the interest rates.
Yeah, they say housing analysts are hoping it's not a cliche of deja vu. Unconventional mortgage lending is on the rise.
That is correct. They don't call it non-conforming lending or unconventional lending anymore, though. They call it hard money lenders.
Says in 2018, reaching its highest level since the financial crisis of 2008, the These mortgages include subprime loans, financing offered to borrowers with blemished credits.
Right.
And
yeah.
you just, I mean, Polaris Home Fund, you don't have to have perfect credit.
Right. No, they're called non-QM loans, and which means qualified mortgage, which are standards the government set for every individual person. These entities can go outside of that, and they don't lend at the same interest rates that you would get if you went through a regular conventional or FHA or VA type loan. But it does allow a person that, maybe had a hiccup or something that had happened to them. Good things bad things happen to good people every day. So these loans do fulfill a niche, per se. But, in the banking side, on your side, when you see all these new programs coming in, you're like, well, are you letting history repeat itself, or are you not letting history repeat itself?
Well, we remember what happened back then. I mean, anybody that could breathe got a loan. I mean, your ratios back in the day, ratios were 28% and 32%. I think
28 and 36. Yeah,
20
that was
and 36.
the standard conventional. Yep.
And then they start inching up to 40 and then 45. And I remember when they were giving loans at 50%.
They had loans for particular, like, say, a self-employed person. Oftentimes self-employed people, I'm not saying dishonest, that's a bad word, but they don't claim every dime that they make.
Well, of course not.
It's
right.
just it's the nature of the beast. And so you would have a self-employed person that would have X number of dollars going through their bank statement, like every single month. But on paper, it appeared like, hey, they didn't make very much money.
So they were doing these no-doc loans.
Or bank statement programs, one of the two. But what happened was then W-2 employees started trying to take advantage of the same no-doc loans when in fact, they were making a certain amount of money. And, it's the waters just got so muddied back then, Gary, that, when we went through it, and that's a part of history I would not want to repeat.
Another positive note is, again, quoting the National Association of Realtors, they welcome new condominium rules, which, there's 8.7 million condos nationwide, and in the last 12 months, a little over 17,000 FHA condo loans were done.
Yeah, that's a big subject. But with condominiums, most condominiums are not FHA approved, which means, an FHA is a type of program that's for a lot of times for first-time home buyers because it's a low down.
Hold that thought. I want to express my gratitude to all the troops, the veterans, and the first responders. These are the men and women who selflessly strive to keep our nation and city streets safe and free. And if you're out and about and you see somebody in uniform, give them the thank you sign. Tell your dad we said thanks.
I will.
And
thanks, Dad.
I'm so moved at what our military does for us. I spent the last day with Art Reed, and thank you for your service, Mr. Reed, yesterday, who is a great instructor, and I earned my MRP, which is the Military Relocation Professional Designation, so I can help veterans even better. So on that note, and we're going to come back with Mr. Bob Pape in just a few moments. And also we're going to have a moment with Myles. You're listening to the Rock and Roll Real Estate Hour on the flagship station for FC Cincinnati Soccer, WDJO 1480, now FM 99.5 and 107.9.
The house is a rockin', don't bother knocking.
Polaris Home Funding Corp is your premier mortgage lender in Greater Cincinnati. They offer a complete line of financing options, including FHA, USDA, VA, conventional and reverse mortgage loans, plus 203K and conventional renovation loans. Polaris Home Funding Corp makes the loan process simple, straightforward, and fast for borrowers seeking a mortgage in the Greater Cincinnati area. They can even work with low credit scores. Call Bob Pape today at 859-468-1929 to discuss your financing options at Polaris Home Funding Corp.
Agent NMLS number 61416. Company NMLS 38072.
Ring in the new year. That'll make a fantastic present.
Oh, get on. Let's rock the house.
Hey, thanks for listening. I know you won't regret it. I'm your host, Gary Rosignol with RE/MAX Preferred Group, better known as Cincinnati's Rock and Roll Realtor. The moment we've been waiting for.
Tomorrow, my dreams are dying.
This is the captain of our ship at Remax Preferred Group, Mr. Myles Beersford, and his moment with Myles. Good morning, Myles.
Hey, Gary, rock and roll, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Gary, you know, often I compare the similarities of sailing a boat and the understanding of the intricacies of real estate.
Mm-hmm.
The length of the hypotenuse of a right triangle can be found using the Pythagorean theorem, which states that the square of the length of the hypotenuse equals the sum of the squares of the length of the other two sides. This theorem is useful for two-dimensional navigation. You can use it in two lengths to find the shortest distance. The distances north and west will be the two legs of the triangle, and the line connecting them will be the diagonal. Surveyors use mathematics, especially geometry and trigonometry, because they need to measure angles and distances on the ground. They then interpret the data, accurately plotting such information as boundaries and locations of structures on a map. These maps are then used for personal or legal means, such as a survey of a person's lot, showing the ownership boundaries in order to obtain a mortgage. And that's this morning's moment with Myles.
Thanks, Myles. That was really spot on. And that's a good question I had for you. By the way, Myles Beersford and his lovely wife, Christine Beersford, are the owners of the Remax Preferred Group franchise, and we are the largest Remax brokerage in the state of Ohio. And for that, I am very happy and grateful to be a member of, and very proud of the achievements that they have successfully earned over the past several years, building a great company. And they run it like a ship. They do a great job.
Yeah.
But he brings up a good point. Back in the day when we got into the business, surveys were pretty normal.
Right.
I mean, mortgage lenders required surveys before you'd give a mortgage, and now, never.
No. What's replaced it is survey affidavits, which a survey costs, it can cost a bunch of money or it can cost little. They have like a stake survey that'll cost like $250, for example.
A location survey.
Location survey, right. But the survey affidavit, what that does is it's information that's already previously recorded at the courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
The title company just abstracts that when they send their examiner out.
Mm-hmm.
And we use that, and then typically that's about a $50 charge. So, banks have went the cheaper route.
Yeah,
for the buyers. But and it's one of those things that I always felt like the survey you get with the property, you put that in your vault or whatever, where your land outlies are,
Every time we look at a home, and if the buyer's interested, they're going to say, well, they're going to look at me and say, where's the boundary line?
That's right.
And I have the multiple listing sheet, which says it's 80 feet wide by 225 feet deep, or irregular.
Right.
Irregular
can be anywhere.
And then they look and they say, well, I can see where they've been cutting the grass. I guess those are the property lines. Or is that line of trees? Who knows?
Yep.
I can't say. I mean.
Now, one thing that you can do, and I recommend for all buyers, is, I always recommend that buyers take owner's policies.
Oh, yeah.
Because the owner's policy, in case the initial boundaries that you thought were incorrect or information you got led it to believe that it's incorrect, you go back on the owner's policy and you can get reimbursed or get yourself covered or insured for something like that.
Yeah, I've been there where you talk to the seller and they say, yeah, we got 5 acres. Okay, well, I don't know. It only looks like about 3 acres. 3.2 acres. I said, no. When we bought it 10 years ago, it was 5 acres. And we need to get it surveyed to be sure. And guess what? The survey comes in at 3.2 acres.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, what happened to that other 1.8 acres?
Yeah.
You never owned it. You never had 5 acres. And here we're presenting to a new buyer 5 acres, and it isn't 5 acres. Always get a survey. Be sure.
Yeah.
Be sure if it matters to you, if you're going to put a fence up, you're going to put an outbuilding, a shed, play set, or anything of that nature. Dig up a garden. You don't want to be doing that on your neighbor's property.
That's right. That's right.
And have that.
Yeah.
You just put a fence up and it's 3 feet on my property.
So, yeah.
You got to move that fence.
So in Kentucky has a different, I mean, they're a little bit different than Ohio in the fact that Kentucky has what's called squatters' rights, or had up until a couple years ago. So if a person could prove that they took care of a particular area for X number of years, that property became theirs.
Right.
You
I think
know?
it's 18 years.
Yeah, 18, something like that. Yeah, and you think about that, that's how important a survey is. So if you know somebody's taking care of part of your yard, most people would be like, hey, heck yeah, that's great.
That's Ohio, too. Yeah.
Ohio has that as well?
Yeah,
I did not know that. I knew
if
Kentucky
there's a
did.
piece of property and you've been using it, you've been maintaining it, and no one ever questions you, and you act like it's yours, and you take care of it, and nobody claims any different after a period of time, I think it's 18 years, you can actually have it deeded over to you.
Right, and that's the only exception to that would be government land. You can't, the city, the county, the
or
state,
easements,
or easements,
Right.
electric company, what have you.
Right,
Yep.
right. So, but I'm not a surveyor. I'm not an attorney. So anything I say on here is arbitrary.
Right. Yeah.
The little clause at the bottom says our information is not guaranteed.
Yeah. Contact your real estate attorney for specifics on that matter. For
Exactly.
sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, you betcha. So when you're beginning your relationship with a new buyer, what do you ask first?
Well, we have, for a new buyer, the first question I always ask is, what are your goals? Where are you looking at? What's your price range? And then from that point, we go forward with an application.
They say, well, we don't know what our price range is. By the way, the Rock and Roll Real Estate Hour is brought to you today by Polaris Home Funding Corp. And Bob's phone number is 859-468-1929.
Good memory, Gary. That's good memory, man.
So if a buyer were to call you this afternoon, they want to see a property later today, like around 4 o'clock.
Yep.
Could you talk to them and get them to the point where you're good to buy this property?
Well, we can get them to the point where preliminarily they're good to buy the property. You have to dive into the specifics after the fact. But yeah, just like you had mentioned, we go through payment ranges with clients. If they have a particular house in mind, I'll go online and look up what the taxes are. So they have a pretty exact idea of what they're going to be spending. We also will pull their credit, make sure they understand what's on there. We'll get a good idea of what they make. I'll ask the buyers to send me a copy of their paycheck stubs, W-2s, tax returns, what have you, so I know it's accurate. And once we have that, we can determine, hey, this is affordable. Would you want to afford it? And then go through the numbers. And then, when we get off the phone, we let the experts take over, being the Gary Rosignolls of the world in the real estate, and showing them the property and see if it actually would be a fit for them or their family or.
Okay. Yeah. So they fall in love with the property. You spoke to them and what they told you over the phone. Are you able to do a quick credit check with them on a Saturday afternoon?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
I'm fortunate enough that I have a home office, at my house that I have all the capabilities I do of my Monday through Friday position.
Okay. So then you would be able to issue, if they want to put a contract in later today or tomorrow, we'd be able to get a pre-qualification letter from you.
Correct. Now, it'd be on a weekend, it would generally be a pre-qualification letter. I can make it a pre-approval letter if I have all of their actual income documents.
Okay.
And the difference between the two is a pre-qualification
Next
means
question, yeah.
based on what they said, we're good. A pre-approval is, hey, I actually have seen their income statements. This one's going to go through.
Okay.
Minus the appraisal, the title work, the other things that come.
You don't have to go through underwriting or anything like that.
All we do, we always have to. We always have to go through an underwriter to get a loan. Period. But we do have the ability, once we have the income documents, if it's like a self-employed borrower and they've got different means of income from all different directions. oftentimes we'll shoot that up to the person that's actually going to underwrite the loan and say, hey, what is your income determination here?
Okay.
And by having that gives us a lot more leverage to, say for sure or say, more certain terms than we do when we simply have talked to a buyer on the phone for 20 minutes.
And it's really kind of foolish for any buyer to go looking at a house before they go through those steps because they really don't know. There's so many pieces to the puzzle today.
Well, because it's such a seller's market too, sellers don't want people walking through a house that don't have a.
They're not going to look at your offer if you don't have a letter of some sort from a lender saying, yeah, they're good to buy this house.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's really kind of a waste of time. You're getting a buyer excited about a house that their dream is a moment away, and by the time they do get the letter from you, it could be sold.
Yeah. Yeah, so, that is true because of the market that we're in.
So if you're thinking about buying this weekend, today, tomorrow, or Monday, you need to call Bob Pape at 859-468-1929. If you call him right after the show, he's heading right back to his home office, right?
Correct, yes.
And he'll be there. He'll be able to talk to you and run the numbers, get what he needs from you, and be able to get us a letter this afternoon.
Yes.
You'd be good to go. Yep. So your American dream is just moments away, ladies and gentlemen. Just moments. Just takes that phone call. 859-468-1929. If you have a question, call us at 513-563-1480. We will answer your questions. But don't touch that dial. Stay tuned after these messages for My Music History. And Bob and I will discuss VA financing in a little bit more detail. Veterans have a special program for them. You're listening to the Rock and Roll Real Estate Hour on the flagship station for FC Cincinnati Soccer on WDJO 1480, now FM 99.5 and 107.9.
Why rent when you can own with no money down? If you're looking to become a first-time homeowner in the Cincinnati or Northern Kentucky areas, or heck, even if you haven't owned a home in the past 3 years and are now looking to buy, you may be eligible to receive up to $15,000 in homeowners assistance towards closing costs, pre-closing expenses, or even your whole down payment. That's right. You can own your own home with no money down. Find out if you qualify. Call Gary at 513-777-2402. That's Gary at 513-777-2402.
Get ready, cause here they come.
1, 2, 3, 4!
It's Beatlemania all over again with the Fab Four, the ultimate tribute to the Beatles. Entertainment Tonight says seeing the Fab Four is just like seeing the Beatles.
Hey Jude.
The Fab Four takes you through the 60s with the music that changed our lives.
Yesterday.
It's a show you won't want to miss.
Coming to the Taft Theater Friday, February 21st. Tickets on sale now at the Taft Theater box office or online at Ticketmaster.
It's time now for My Music History. So here's what happened today. Back in 1968, the Jimi Hendrix Experience went to #1 on the U.S. album chart with their third and final studio album, Electric Ladyland. The double album included Crosstown Traffic, Voodoo Chili, and this version of Bob Dylan's All Along the Watchtower. Hendrix expressed displeasure and embarrassment with this Naked Lady cover, which was banned by several record dealers, while others sold it with the gatefold cover turned inside out. Today in 1974, John Lennon was at #1 in the U.S. singles chart with Whatever Gets You Through the Night. Elton John played on this session and made a deal with Lennon that if your song reached #1, you have to appear on stage with me. Well, Lennon kept his side of the deal and appeared live with Elton John. They played 3 songs together. I Saw Her Standing There, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, and
Whatever gets you through your life.
Backstage after the concert, get this, Lennon got back with Yoko Ono after a temporary split. Double whammy. Won both times. Yeah. Today in 1988, former Beach Boys manager Stephen Love was sentenced to 5 years probation for embezzling almost $1 million from the group's accounts. Shame on you. Today in 1999, Grady Owen, the guitarist with Gene Vincent and his Blue Caps, died. They scored the 1956 U.S. number 7 single with Bebop-A-Lula. During his time with the band, Grady can also be seen playing rhythm guitar with the band in the cult classic film Hot Rod Gang. That was a hot movie. Today in 2002, Texan multi-billionaire with a B, David Bonderman, hired the Rolling Stones to play at his 60th birthday party held at the Hard Rock Hotel in Las Vegas. The band's fee was, get this, $5,600,000.
Wow.
Today in 2006, Queen's Greatest Hits album was declared the best-selling UK album of all time by the official UK chart company. The chart, which made up of a sales figure from the last 50 years, showed their Greatest Hits compilation had sold 5,407,587 copies. The Beatles occupied second place with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Well, of course they did. Can't beat the Beatles except for Queen.
Except for Queen, right.
Speaking of the Beatles, in 2010, the Beatles' back catalog was finally made available on iTunes after years of negotiations. For the first time, consumers would now be able to purchase some of the Fab Four's most popular songs via the store. We're talking about the iPad. Apple and record label EMI have been in talks for years about getting the catalog online. Apple chief executive and Beatles fan Steve Jobs said it had been a long and winding road to get here. We love the Beatles and are honored and thrilled to welcome them to iTunes. Oh, Bob. Next to Mary Jo, this is my lady. I mean, as far as jazz vocalist goes, today, happy birthday, Diana Krall. Canadian singer-songwriter, she has been one of the best-selling jazz artists of all time. Nominated for Album of the Year at the 2000 Grammy. Won 3 Juno Awards in 2002. Artist of the Year, Album of the Year, Best Vocal Jazz Album of the Year. Guess who she's married to?
Who?
Elvis Costello.
Really? Now that seems like a mix right there.
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
A little different styles.
There you go. I hope you had as much fun with these bits of music history as I did when researching and reporting them for you today. I do love you, Mary Jo. She knows that Diana Krall is my number one jazz vocalist.
So Mary Jo is aware of this whole mess here, right?
We went and saw her live 2 years ago up in Dayton. It was a phenomenal concert.
Yeah.
Her guitarist, bass player, drummer. That was it. Oh my gosh, unbelievable!
She's that good of a vocalist, huh?
Oh man,
just keeps you.
Check her albums out. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Jeff Shaber, you won a $10 gift card to Starbucks. You guessed Mamma Mia's song track was done by ABBA.
There's your dancing queen band.
There
for
you
sure.
go. Yep, you betcha. So, I'm called the Rock and Roll Realtor because I play with the greatest classic rock band, Bluestone Ivory. You can go to bluestoneivory.com, and on that page you can register for our New Year's Eve gala. We already have about 4 tables booked. It isn't even Thanksgiving yet. We will be, and speaking of, we're going to talk about veterans. We love to give back. So on the 30th of November, we're giving a dance for the VFW Hall in Sharonville. And that'll be from 7:30 to 11:30. It's open to the public. People say, don't you have to be a member? No, it's open to the public. It's going to be, I don't know, $8 cover chart or something, but it's a great time, good party time. So come on out, say hi, say I do, say happy anniversary or happy birthday with flowers. Call Let's Flowers at 513-921-0561. Thanks for staying with us. I know you won't regret it. Oh, we have a caller on one. Okay, let's bring him on. Hey, good morning, Sean.
Yeah, hey, Gary, how are you guys this morning?
We're doing great.
Good. How about you?
Oh, I'm good. Hey, so I've got a question. I've been kind of shopping some mortgages recently, and I keep seeing 2 different, like when you look at a mortgage product, and there's like different rates, and I keep seeing what's called APR and APY, and I don't I don't really know what the heck the difference is. Can you kind of explain to me what the heck that's all about? I feel like there's two different rates for one mortgage.
That's a good question.
Well, here's what that is. I mean, and it's fairly simple. You have an interest rate that, like, say a lender will offer you. Say it's 3.875, but then you see the APR and the APY that might say 4.231 or something like that. What that is the lender, when you disclose a rate and payments, you have to disclose what the APR, which means annual percentage rate. You have to disclose what your closing costs are included in that. Because what it does, it separates lenders a little bit, because this number, for example, Polaris, we could advertise a 3.25 rate, which we could legitimately get if you as a client were paying us 4 points to buy the rate down. And like 4 points on a $100,000 loan, for example, would be an extra $4,000. So it adds to your closing costs by, like offering that. So it prevents lenders like mine, for example, from advertising super low rates, but then as soon as the buyer calls, then at that point you tell them, hey, you're paying an extra $4,000 or $5,000 just to get that rate. It's supposed to eliminate deception, and that's the reason behind that.
Does that make sense, Sean?
Absolutely it does. My thought was that there's two different interest rates for the same loan, but that's obviously not the case. So that cleared it up for me. I really appreciate that.
Good deal. Good question too.
It was a good question.
Yeah, super. All right. Well, thanks for calling, Sean. Anybody else have a question? We got a couple minutes left. 513-563-1480. Call us up. And I mentioned earlier that I felt moved to take this military relocation professional designation. Boy, I learned a lot yesterday from Mr. Art Reed. He's just a wealth of information. Great storyteller, and he's got a lot of experience, and I just soaked that up like a sponge. But
he's been a realtor for a year or two then, right?
48 years. Yeah. So, but he's also a veteran, which he's primed to teach this course, and veterans and military get a really good deal in financing.
They do. I mean, it is one of the perks of being, doing what they do for our country. VA loans, for example, are 100% loans, which means that, truly a veteran getting out of the military that's got their certificate of eligibility, got their discharge from the military, they can move into a house with literally nothing out of their pocket other than maybe like the home inspections and all that kind of stuff. Even the termite inspection has to be paid for by the seller, the buyer, or a third
unless
party.
we talked about this yesterday. If the termite inspection is part of the whole house inspection, the buyer can pay for it. The seller's not required to pay for it.
Yeah, with us, what we've done is like we get the whole buyer inspection, but we'll get a copy of the termite, whatever that invoice was, and we then reimburse the veteran at closing and put it on the seller side.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, but for you as a lender, knowing their basic allowance for housing is pretty much key. If you're working with an active military person,
correct,
that wants to buy a house,
that's income. That's added income for them as their housing allowance. Yes,
because the Department of Defense will pay 95% of these costs, with the service member paying 5% out of pocket of what their housing is. Which is something that I had no idea, because they don't have to stay on base. They can rent or purchase privatized property or private sector property.
That is correct. Like mostly in our area, we see, because this is for active service veterans. So we a lot of times will see this type of situation with recruiters, because recruiters are designated in our area, for example, and they're they don't necessarily have a base to live on, per se. So, it's phenomenal. They get a clothing allowance, they get a housing allowance, and that all adds into their income. Because, the thing that the veterans do that sacrifice so much, is they don't get paid nearly enough money for what they do.
No.
So their base income is kind of like, it's what you and I would consider more or less a stipend. Mm-hmm. But when you take into consideration all their benefits that you can add and you can calculate in, it allows them to qualify for a lot more than what maybe just their base income would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you know a veteran, if you are a veteran, if you are active military, if you know someone who's active military, and they want the American dream, call Bob Pape at 859-468-1929. You've done a boatload of VA financing.
Yeah, National Guard, reservists, they all can qualify.
Absolutely. Yep. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, National Guard, like you said.
Coast Guard, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. There's a couple little different nuances with Coast Guard and with the reservists, but for the most part, they do qualify. So that's good stuff.
Yep.
So don't delay. Call Bob Pape today at 859-468-1929, and he'll be happy to help you with that. So stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. Next, we will have a little visit with Ria Davidson of the Dragonfly Foundation. You're listening to the flagship station for FC Cincinnati Soccer on WDJO 1480, now FM 995 and 107.9.
Polaris Home Funding Corp is your premier mortgage lender in Greater Cincinnati. They offer a complete line of financing options, including FHA, USDA, VA, conventional and reverse mortgage loans, plus 203K and conventional renovation loans. Polaris Home Funding Corp makes the loan process simple, straightforward, and fast for borrowers seeking a mortgage in the Greater Cincinnati area. They can even work with low credit scores. Call Bob Pape today at 859-468-1929 to discuss your financing options at Polaris Home Funding Corp.
Agent NMLS number 61416. Company NM.
Buckeyes. Why rent when you can own with no money down? If you're looking to become a first-time homeowner in the Cincinnati or Northern Kentucky areas, or heck, even if you haven't owned a home in the past 3 years and are now looking to buy, you may be eligible to receive up to $15,000 in homeowners assistance towards closing costs, pre-closing expenses, or even your whole down payment. That's right. You can own your own home with no money down. Find out if you qualify. Call Gary at 513-777-2402. That's Gary at 513-777-2402.
Get on. Let's rock the house.
Hey, you're listening to the Rock and Roll Real Estate Hour. My guest is Bob Pape of Polaris Home Funding Corp. 859-468-1929. The Dragonfly Foundation supports pediatric cancer families and patients by building a network that connects Dragonfly families to each other and the community, providing programs that enhance quality of life, enhancing programs in partner with Children's Hospital. And if you ask, how does that work? It works pretty good. And it's all because of these two best friends who came up with this great idea. It was a stretch to do what they did, but 10 years later, they are just the miracles that they provide to the families and the patients at Children's Hospital are phenomenal. And I always enjoy talking to this lady on Saturday mornings at this time. This is my friend, Miss Ria Davidson.
Good morning, Gary.
Good morning,
Hi,
Ria.
everybody.
Yeah. And your website is dragonfly.org, and I want to just point out the Dragonfly Effect podcast. I got mesmerized. I was listening to Rick's story last night. He's 34, 35 years old today?
Yeah, I think he's 35 years old. Yeah, and he is a five-time cancer survivor.
5 times.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you get these folks to get on a podcast and share their story the way they do, and not how you do it without filling up and bawling in the studio. It's remarkable, and I encourage all the listeners, go to dragonfly.org and click on Rick's story, a 5-time survivor. It's only 5 minutes long, something like that, but But what an incredible story, and it's he shares exactly what you and Christine and your organization of volunteers have done for not only him but hundreds and hundreds of other cancer patients who, some of them don't survive, some of them do, and he's one of the lucky ones, one of the great stories.
Wow, 5 times.
Yeah, and here's this kid who was diagnosed at age 8 who goes through something so traumatic, and then there's hope, right? You know, okay, your parents says that it's over and you can come home, and yet all these different parts of his body have now been affected, and he's still moving forward. And probably my most favorite part while we were there was that when we went to go record, he had his resume with him, and immediately handed his resume to the person that we were talking to, and he just did it in such a cute way. And he doesn't know what's going to happen literally tomorrow. Literally, like tomorrow may not be here, but here he was holding out his resume and being so cute and sweet about it. And talk about being inspirational. It was just incredible, and I was so proud of him. Because that's hard for anybody, but here he was doing it. So there's just so many good things about this and about Dragonfly. It's always so inspiring. That's what I can tell you. Just always so inspired by their families, by the donors. Like right now we need poinsettia plants to decorate the landing, and so we set up a text to give poinsettia promotion for this week, and we've already had a couple people sign up for it. So
okay.
If people want to purchase flowers for the landing, they can text the word red flowers with an S at the end to 91999.
To 91.
And they can help us.
999. Okay.
And then they'll click a link, and then they can decide to help purchase flowers that'll help decorate the landing.
Very cool. Very cool. But you still need some of the really helpful stuff like eye drops and soap detergent, those pods, the Tide pods.
Yeah, we need all that.
Yeah.
All that. BioFreeze is a new product that we're adding to the care bags, and we're also adding a $50 Visa gift card with it.
Okay.
So now the bag is worth well over $200.
Wow.
But all of those items are things that are helping with practical challenges and make things easier.
So here's how you can help right now, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't want to shop flowers or get eye drops or anything like that, you just heard the cost that goes in these bags, and every patient that gets that hooks up with Dragonfly at Children's Hospital gets one of these bags. You can text the word WINGS15, that's WINGS15, to 71777. There you can donate as little as $5, as much as you want. I mean, the sky's the limit. It's a very secured website that will open up for you. Go to their website, dragonfly.org. Check out the podcasts. There are literally dozens of other stories on there like this one of Rick with Ria, interviewing them and talking to them. So there you go. Ria, thank you very much for coming on again this morning. I appreciate it. And my house is a rockin' because the buyers are knocking. I'm open for business. The Rock and Roll Realtor at rockincincy.com. My number is 513-777-2402. Don't forget to... Are we early? Oh, go out? Oh, okay.
The opposite of early.
Don't forget to hug your kids, call your parents, and kiss your spouse every day. And tune in next week. Gary Rasmussen, the musical insurance guy with Farmers Insurance, will be right here. Coming up next is Wesley Adams on the Car Tech Show. This is Bluestone Ivory's live recorded version of the one-hit wonder by Looking Glass called Brandy.
From the north of Spain, a locket that bears the name of a man that Brandy loved. He came